Did someone say breeding season? It's getting that time of year again, so sit back and enjoy the show, and hopefully you'll find something interesting. So welcome to the bird room. I'm Shane, and over the last few weeks we've just been getting the birds ready for breeding season. It entails a lot of time, a lot of effort going into getting things ready, not just putting your birds together and expecting miracles to happen. So over the last few weeks all we've done is literally strip down the cages completely, fronts off, disinfectant in, out, clean the birds out, and I'll explain more of that as the episode's going out, because it's not just a matter of doing one thing and then everything's done. Taking the cage furniture off, scrubbing the perches, scrubbing the drinkers, all that before we can even think about breeding season. So this obviously began, it took about 2 weeks in the process to get to where I am now. As you can see, there's some nest pans in behind me. They've been in 2 days, so I'll elaborate more on that as the show goes out. So it all began, like I said, about 2 weeks ago. I started seeing early signs where the birds coming into condition, and sure signs for me, I know obviously when I see certain things happening in my bird room what to look for when it comes for the birds coming into condition. There's one down here just treading. So the little tips that to look out for would be scratching around in the corner of the cages. I use Easy Bed on the bottom of the cage floor, and I found a lot of that in the drinkers, in the bottom of the drinkers. A sure sign that the birds are wanting to go to nest or try and build to nest. A sure sign is eggs everywhere, and as you'll see now, every morning I'm picking eggs up off the cage floor. Obviously they're going to be clear anyway, because there was no cockbirds in with them, they were all separated ends. So obviously a sure sign for that right there. But all in all, the birds will tell you themselves will be bouncing fit, and the cockbirds, as you can hear in the background, singing like crazy, and I've had hens squatting because they can hear the cockbirds singing. All good signs that the birds are coming into condition. Now, as I've conditioned my birds, and believe me, I get asked quite a lot, how do I condition my birds? And years back, I used to give them conditioning seed like everyone else, and up the protein levels with the egg food and stuff. But nowadays, for the last, especially with the canaries, well, ever since I've had the canaries, that is, all I'm doing is salt seed and egg food, and I keep saying this week in, week out. That's all I give them. This started way back Christmas Day, just giving them a little treat, as you like, egg food mixed with soap seed, and it does the job. And gradually increasing that over I would say 6-8 weeks ago, has slowly brought the birds into condition. So nowadays what I'm doing is basically the same seed format, but not every day at the moment. Not every day, just because it's quite a palaver doing it out here, taking it in the house and then giving it time to germinate. Because obviously in the house it's warmer and the temperature will make it sprout that bit quicker. If you do it out here, the temperature's not warm enough at the moment constantly to make it germinate on its own. So just all I'm doing at the moment, as you can probably see here, I've got a bowl. That is one that's soaked. You only have to soak it realistically for 3 hours. I do it between 6 and 12 hours and thoroughly clean it off. From that period, I'll take it in, leave it overnight, bring it back out and keep soaking that as it is anyway. And at least that way it's going to be nice and clean and just chitting, and be its best, optimal best when I give it to the birds. Egg food brand. Now, as everyone, all the regular viewers will know, I swear by Kings. Now, I've used this Now I've just seen a pair treading over there, so that's a good sign. I've used Kings probably 5 years now, maybe 6 years. Before I've used plenty of other brands, plenty. There's plenty on the market, but Kings works for me. It's not moist and it's not dry. It's in between. It's an oily seed, and I find my birds have got used to that, even to a point where last year, when I'd run out and the supplier run out, I tried Deli Nature and they just didn't take to it as much. But like I said, there's plenty on the market, and whatever fits all you breeders, that's up to you. So I'll do that, and obviously later on in the year, well, when we start getting a flush of eggs and the young ones, I'll show you what I do in regards to adding the green food into the mix. But that'll come in a later episode, and what we'll do is little edits throughout, something to look forward to show how we prepare our nest pans, egg food, soak seed. Just 2 or 3 minute long videos, at least then you haven't got to watch a full video to get that bit of information out of it. So as you can see behind me, we've got a few new birds, and I have mentioned these umpteen times. We acquired the boarders, and as you will see now, what is it? I think it's 3 pairs and a spare cock. Well, I'm hoping 3 pairs and a spare cock. Lovely birds, and I'm really looking forward to giving them a go this year. Also, birds treading like crazy, they're going crazy. The Fiorinos frills. Although I looked and I think they were a pair. I bought them as a pair. But I think they might be 2 cocks. Fingers crossed that they're not. Later on I could probably sex them by vent sexing, but just for some reason I just thought maybe 2 cock birds. I don't know. Also, we have got some red poles coming back in the room after 2-3 years, but they're a bloody nightmare the last time I had them. Just kept throwing the chicks out and not doing the job, so it really annoyed me. That's why I got rid of them. But a bit more patience about me as I'm getting older, so maybe I can give them another go. The rest of the birds, I mean, we've got the greenie and chappies feeding down there. You can't just see it just off camera. This is the pair that's been together for quite a while. I was talking about mules and hybrid pairs. We are doing a few mules and hybrids this year. We'll start off with what we've got over here. We've got a linnet cock, yellow linnet cock, to a buff. I would say mongrel, but it's not. It's bred purposely for this. It's a Yorkie cross Norwich cross 5. My good friend Paul has done generations and generations of these over the last few years for me to use for breeding. So that's one over there. Cage next to it, we've got a yellow to white cock with another buff cross. Hopefully, I mean the twite last year, you'll see in the video last year, within a week of having him, I put him in with actually probably probably grandmother to these, because they're all bred throughout that line, and he was feeding on the nest in no time. So hopefully we'll have a go at them as well. And as you'll probably see that the pictures of the birds, they're not too much looking like Yorkies. They're not going to be too long and thin. They do have quite a balance on the birds. Also, we're going to try this year Goldie Chappie. Why not? I have had one in the past. I didn't breed it. It was one that when someone packed in it came to me, and it weren't the brightest of birds. It quite dull, to be fair, but lovely hybrid, and why not give it a go? We'll see. Yeah, it's a good sight watching your hybrid pairs feeding. Also, we are doing a red pole bully or a greenie bully. Another good lad, Jason Coventry, gifted me a lovely, he's actually in here, red pole cock. It was in the flight up there, but somehow he got from that flight down here into this flight. Pesky little bugger. So he's got to be put back at some point. Also, maybe if we can, Goldie mules. I've got a Goldie cock, just short of a Norwich hen. And in my opinion, if I'm going to do a golden mule, it's got to realistically be with a Norwich hen, yellow Norwich hen that is, because the Goldie is a buff bird, although a really nice buff bird, but I need a yellow Norwich hen. If we can get one, if not, then I might just chuck in with a 5 because I've got plenty of spare hens. So, right, the 5s, yes, the 5s. Now the 5s, I'm going to put 30 hens down, or let me say 30 hens. They are majority are going to be, well, probably 50% pairs and 50% hens that's running different cocks with it, just because some of the cocks are really nice, but one thing I am short of is a really nice self green buff 5, because I've got 7 self green hens, all same way bred out of the same dad, over different nests but related enough so I know what's what. But I haven't really got a self green buff cock to warrant that's good enough for them, if you know what I mean. I've got some, but which I'm going to be using, because obviously I've got nothing at the moment. But these are really nice, and I wanted to put something else to them. But that'll be all come next week's episode, because I'm not talking about everything all at once. So, like I said, the birds are getting ready now. It's all about building the birds up. So, as I clean the birds out, everything, and believe me, this block over here took me a full day to do, because these geo cages, although they're really good, they're finicky. There's bits that come off everywhere, areas in there that can attract mite constantly throughout the rail, underneath the drawers. So it's a long procedure, but luckily that's every cage in here is done except for the flight cages and the flights. Got them to do before I put them in. Like I said, cage furniture's been done, drinks have been done, the birds have been treated. The birds were treated with no other than Frontline. This is for puppies, I believe it is, puppies and cats. Now, anyone that hasn't used this before, I was last year when I first used it, I was really cautious because, well, it is for cats and dogs, and obviously birds are a lot smaller. So I was really cautious, and I was dabbing it on last year, and really cautious that it either kill the birds or have an effect when it comes to breeding season, but I needn't be. So this year, after talking to a load of people who spray it on the birds, I thought, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it with 1 or 2 birds that I wouldn't have minded if I'd lost them. But it worked fine. So what I've got here, I'm just going to show you quickly how to do it. I've got a self green hen, current year bird, and all you do is look for the pring gland, which is just at the back of the tail. So all I do is hold it upside down, and I'll pull the tail forward. You can see it there. Blow on it, you'll see the pring gland. Then just one dab, job done, back into the cage. It doesn't affect them at all. Like I said, I've done that with every single bird that I've paired up. Not the British birds yet. I just haven't had time to go through that side of things. Also, at the same time, I gave them a treatment in the water as it being baycocks. Baycocks because that's what I've used ever since I can remember. Seems to work for me. So they've all had mite treatment. The treatment for themselves to kill any nasties that are lingering inside. Deep clean. So we're on to the start of the preparation for breeding season. As you'll probably see behind, while I am giving the baycocks treatment, I know Matt, Eld and Keith are using doxycycline, but not for me. I mean, this is why everyone's individual, and I've got nothing against anything like that. But baycocks works for me, and I'll stick to what I know of. Like I said, there's no grit in the grit pots. Why? Because you're treating a bird and a grit counteracts it, and it's the same with you using charcoal, same effect. That'll neutralise anything that you're putting through the birds, so don't do that. So these, we've finished their Baycox treatment tomorrow, so all that'll be coming off. Normal clean water for a couple of days. Top up the grit pots then, and that'll be about a week after the treatment. Then Aviform Advanced Gold. Can't go wrong with that, can you really? Then we're completely ready. I mean, I've already put on here my breeding cards, although I've not written anything on them yet because, well, things might change over here, and there's no point in wasting a breeding card because everything costs money if I'm not going to be using that pair. So, whereas the ones over there are my pairs, so they're wrote on this all hen ring number, cock ring number, date of birth, not date of birth, but date they were born, and colour of them. Like I said, not with these because they might change it. So they're ready. There's a few down here that's got blanks because I haven't put the cards in yet. I've got plenty of them anyway, so I've got plenty of them to go through every cage, even if I've freaking 100 birds. But that's a full-time job, so I'm not going to do that. Talk to you a bit more in depth now about the border canaries. They come from a really good breeder, and like I said, I'm looking forward to breeding with them. Although I'm saying I haven't got a clue much about them, but I'm using the same principles I am for 5s. But I would say that they're not going to be going down to nest, I would say at least till April, end of March, April. Then that's probably when I'd introduce the pans for these, because although when I was treating them I blew up and make sure that there's not much fat on them and general looking at them like that, I do know that some of them they're already coming into condition by blowing on the vent, and you see the cloaca is dropped, and obviously male and female both have a cloaca, but the shape of them is different. When they come into breeding condition, the shape changes from a male to a female, or a cock and hen. So you up this corner, we've got the what do you call it, 3-part stark. I think that's what it's called in border terms, and heavily variegated. So hopefully, I think that they're a pair. The one in the centre here, the old boy, looks a bit sorry for himself at the moment. Definitely a cockbird because been belting out some notes earlier. Pairing number 3. Now, this blue, I like to white, is I believe it's the father to the one that Alan's been winning the young with the current year one with. 2, I would say same again. Is it 3-part stark, heavily variegated? And then we've got obviously the 4th pair, because I believe that that's a pair there. With it being obviously heavily variegated, I think we'd still produce variety of both, with him being I like to white or blue, whatever you want to call him. Pair 4, we've got heavily variegated yellow cock to variegated yellow hen, buff hen. So even if we was to get one round out of them all, or I know the borders and I know they're not as easy as what 5s are, I'd be over the moon with a round out of them all. If I end up with 10 all in all, I'd still be happy. Can't start with that. The Fiorino frills. Now, yeah, like I said, I don't know what to expect with them either, because I don't know how they feed. Like if they feed their own, if they do it, but cross that bridge when we come to it. So far as the British birds, the greenfinches, we've got a pair of linnets there in the other shed. Brambles are still in here, pain in the backside. Chaffinches are still up there doing absolutely nothing. I mean, I looked at the cockbird earlier. He's starting to blow up already, and by bluing his beaks changing colour as they do when they come into condition. So they'll be another 6 weeks, I'd imagine. Greenies, freaking nightmares. I've got in one flight, the 5th flight, I've got 5 cockbirds that's pulling absolute bits out of each other. But I can't do anything until I've got rid of the rest of this load of fives, because they're taking up the space. So no doubt I'll be taking some to a couple of sales when I go, and then getting rid of them that way. The hen birds in the second flight, there's, what is it, 4 hens in here, a couple of cock birds, just to stop them from bickering. Like I said, I'm waiting for the flights to become empty, then I can put the prospective pairs in the flights that they're going to be in. Hopefully we'll breed a few of them as well, because we didn't have a nightmare last year, but we could have done better, and it's just getting out crosses in, that was the issue. But fear not, we've got some in hand this year, so hopefully we can do a little bit better. Just before I leave, I just want to talk about the last show that we had, last show of my season anyway, which was Guildford. And I'm not just putting this in because we did well, but this is only the second show that Guildford's had. Guildford's show itself started just before COVID, and obviously COVID it got closed down. This is the first show back and treading again, so that's good. Cage number 12. It's the first show back, and they had a brilliant turnout, and it was a really successful show for the guys. Team Dagenham was out in support again. The lads at Dagenham do like to get out and support local clubs, even now and for them. But it was still good, and being part of Dagenham itself, we did achieve, all of us throughout, some really good specials. I ended up with Best British Ardbill. We've actually a Greenie Cock, the brother to the one that won at Carshalton, because the one that I won at Carshalton I never took out. As I've said, I don't overshow birds. I try and stagger them, because they're a lot better in here for breeding with than winning a rosette. And all the lads at Dagenham, Richard Wilson won Best Muller Hybrid, Davey Hunt won Best Novan. There was an array of winners. Alistair Phillips Hill, what did they get? They won some specials. Jamie Taylor, Best, what did he get? Best Novice Cinnamon, and Best, what else did he get? Best Yorkie. Best Canary went to no other than a lovely old variety cinnamon, English cinnamon canary. Really nice bird, and it was great to see that an older variety or rarer variety taking the top spot with the canaries. So yeah, really good end to our show season, and may continue next year if we breed some winners, that is. Tomorrow we're going to be at Larkfield bird sale. It's in the evening. Anyone that's going there to sell birds or wants a table there, you need to be there at 5:30. It's open to the general public at 6:30. I will be there taking some of these English blue and white canary here. I'll be taking some of my fives, because like I said, I need the room. And it's usually a good turnout of people there, sellers and buyers. So if you are in the area, it's near Maidstone. If you look on UK Bird Sales and Sales and Shows, all the details are on there, so you can get everything you need from there. We'll be there with everything, bird stuff that is anyway. But we'll be there, and like I said, pop down if you're local and have a chat and stuff like that. So anyway, that is it from me today. What I'm going to try and do is get them out as, I'm saying as often as possible, I always say that, but the problem is, and this is not having a dig at anybody, sometimes if I start editing stuff or recording and I don't like it, I won't put it out. Or sometimes if there's nothing to show, I won't record. Not just on them purposes, the birds themselves, like I said, the welfare of the birds is more important than me sticking a bloody episode on YouTube just to keep people happy. I do this personally to show what I do with my birds, and hopefully people can take tips off that. So it's not, I'm not doing it for any other reason than that. So if I haven't put one out, don't despair. I've not gone anywhere. It's just that I've got either there's nothing to show, or I've got something I need to do in the bird room like I did before. I meant to have had one out last week, but I had cleaning to do, and like I said, that took quite a while, and that's more important than me putting an episode on YouTube. Like I said, that's not having to go at anybody. People that do ask questions and stuff, that's just to explain it to you. Anyway, that's enough of me. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode, and if you have, hit the like button, because at least then I know I'm doing something right. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Costs you absolutely nothing on this channel, that is. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have the good rest of your evening, and I will see you hopefully next week with lots to show you on the 5 canaries over there that's got the nest pads in. Take care, everybody.